Welcome back to Views with Hughes, your gender-free news. This is Jerome Hughes. Now, let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, at this hour, Disney, and more specifically, the Rachel Zegler and the controversy surrounding, Rachel Zegler and her involvement in Disney's Snow White remake starring Rachel Zegler is back in the spotlight, as you all may know. Now, we've all seen the headlines where we've heard that chatter, especially with Disney's losing money at the box office. Their movies aren't resonated with audiences. Granted, I say the same thing as well. And honestly, a lot of us are left scratching our heads. Now, how can a company that's been pumping out flop after flop and now leading up to the Rachel Zegler movie with Rachel Zegler in the spotlight be raking in profits? How does that even make sense? That's what I'm wondering. Be sure to like this video and share this video far wide across social media. And well, you know what? That's exactly what I'm here to break down for you today. And Rachel Zegler is at the center of it. Now, I've been doing some digging and I think I finally figured it out. Now, basically, it's like this video is going to be twofold and everything. We're going to talk about why the Disney movies, especially ones on, the upcoming Rachel Zegler one, and past movies without it are losing more money and not connecting with fans like they used to. And second, why Disney doesn't even actually seem to care about it, even with all the whole Rachel Zegler controversy and even with the Star Wars and Marvel failures and all of that that's swirling around them. Now, let's be real. If you like me right now, basically you grew up with like all types of Disney movies, the classics and stuff. Some of you are older, might have seen the original Snow White, but this particular one is nothing like the original one, along with Lion King, Aladdin. Now, these movies that had magic in them, none of them had any kind of polarizing figure like Rachel Zegler attached to them. Now, they brought people together, but now, well, seems like every new Disney release, particularly the ones with, controversial people like Rachel Zegler on hand, is just a cash grab or some kind of political statement. I mean, let's just take like Snow White starring Rachel Zegler, for example. This is where Rachel Zegler plays the lead. And I don't know about you, but I've lost count of how many people have said they're, boycotting this movie. And that's largely because of what Rachel Zegler has been saying and everything, especially with her against her co-star. Now, look, I'm not here to pick on anyone, even Rachel Zegler or anything. But when you have someone like Rachel Zegler, the lead actress who's running around trashing the original movie and the character that, basically everyone loves, I mean, what do you expect is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? Now, let's be honest here. People are going to, check out. Now, to add to that, the fact that they're changing the dwarves in Snow White into CGI characters and stuff in this movie starring Rachel Zegler, and there's no wonder people are not excited at all about it, okay? But think about it. Here's the kicker. It's not just, the controversy around Rachel Zegler that's the problem. It's the ridiculous amount of money that Disney is pouring into these particular films, especially the ones with people like Rachel Zegler. I mean, Snow White, starring Rachel Zegler, now has a reported budget of over $330 million. Now, think about that. That's the most expensive Disney movie, ever made outside of their major franchises like Star Wars and even Marvel. And even within those franchises, it's still the second most expensive movie that they've ever made. Only Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides had a higher budget. Now, why in the world would they spend that kind of money on a Snow White movie, especially when that's starring, Rachel Zegler? That's a remake of the original. That's appearing not to be like it. And that's before you even get to the marketing costs. And let's take a look at The Little Mermaid as an example. Now, that movie had a budget of about, $250 million, but Disney spent an extra $140 million just on marketing. Now, that's almost half the movie's budget, again, just to get people into theaters. So when we're talking about Snow White starring Rachel Zegler, which already has, a bigger budget and a lot more negative press, largely because of Rachel Zegler and her comments, especially on social media. Now, it's not crazy to think that they'll be spending even more money on marketing. And I wouldn't even be surprised, if they end up spending like $200 million on marketing alone for the Snow White movie starring Rachel Zegler. So what exactly does that mean? Well, theaters take about, half of the box office revenue, right? So for Rachel Zegler, some movie Snow White starring Rachel Zegler, just to break even, is going to have to make somewhere around $1 billion. Okay. Now, unfortunately, that is insane, but let me put that in perspective for you. Now, The Little Mermaid only made $569 million. Cinderella, that one made about $542 million. And even Oppenheimer, with one of the biggest marketing campaigns Hollywood has ever seen, well, let's just say that didn't even crack $1 billion. So what makes Disney think that Snow White, starring Rachel Zegler, the movie that's been surrounded by negative press for over years, going to be some $1 billion blockbuster? Let's be honest here. This Rachel Zegler movie may not even do well in the theaters. Definitely not going to do well. And that's really the question here, isn't it? What was Disney thinking, especially with when they cast Rachel Zegler in this remake? Now, even before all the backlash about Snow White starring Rachel Zegler and, Rachel Zegler herself started, I was wondering how they expected to make a profit on this movie with such a huge budget. I mean, just look at Cinderella. That movie was a success for both critics and audiences, and even I liked it, to be honest with you. And it still didn't make anywhere near, just to justify the kind of budget that Snow White, starring Rachel Zegler, has. Now, sure, this movie starring Rachel Zegler is a bigger property, but it's still a remake nevertheless. And you know what? If we've learned anything over the past few years, is that these live action remakes, including those like the one that Rachel Zegler is in, just don't compare to the same magic as the originals. Otherwise, we wouldn't see any criticism about The Lion King. So what's actually going on here? Why would a company like Disney go ahead and greenlight a project like this movie starring Rachel Zegler with such a big budget and stuff, knowing full well that, it's not even going to be an uphill battle to make that money back? Well, I think the answer might surprise you. Now, the reason Disney doesn't seem to care about the box office anymore is because, well, frankly, the movies don't matter to them anymore. Let's be honest here. Not even the ones with, this upcoming one with Rachel Zegler. That's right. The movies are just a piece of the puzzle. The real money isn't in the films themselves. Even when, they have someone like Rachel Zegler starring in them, it's basically the theme parks that they're trying to make money from. It's the merchandising. It's all in the experiences that Disney is selling you outside the theater. Okay. It's not the movies themselves, even though a lot of people aren't really going to go to the theme parks and everything. But think about it this way. Disney can spend about $500 million making and marketing a movie, but they don't need to make that money back at the box office. Now, they make it back in other ways. They sell toys, they sell theme park rides, they sell experiences. Now, you go to Disneyland and suddenly, you see the Rachel Zegler kind of Snow White is everywhere, and you've got the rides, you've got, the princess dresses you see in the movies and shows, you've got also the photo ops, and it doesn't even matter if fewer and fewer people are actually watching the movie itself, whether it's Snow White starring Rachel Zegler or any other film, because frankly, Disney is still making their money. Okay. They're still making their money elsewhere, or so we think. Now, this is also why, even though Disney's movies have been losing money year after year, their quarterly profits continue to grow. As a matter of fact, Disney made more money in 2023 than they did in 2019, even though they didn't have a single movie come to close to the box office numbers of Avengers Endgame or even Spider-Man Far From Home. And this, everybody, is why their movies, including Snow White starring Rachel Zegler, have failed to impress people. And this is why they don't care about resonating with fans anymore, because Disney is no longer just a movie studio. They're a theme park company. They're a merchandising company as well. Their focus is on the theme parks. The movies, even the ones with Rachel Zegler, are no longer the main attraction. They're just, the commercial for everything else that they're selling. Okay. And quite frankly, Bob Iger doesn't care. Now, I don't know about you, but as someone who loves movies, this really actually leaves me disappointed, but not surprised. Now, Disney used to be all about storytelling. They used to be a gold standard when it came to creating movies that brought people together. But now it seems like, they're more concerned with selling us a trip to Disneyland than they are with telling us a good story. Even when they put out someone like Rachel Zegler in the lead, and sure, I don't want her there yet. Sure, it's working for them financially, but in the long run, it's going to hurt them. Why? Well, simply put, because of the simple fact that the magic is gone, people. Now, people are not going to go ahead and keep showing up to these movies, even if Rachel Zegler is in it, if they don't care about the story anymore, regardless of whether Rachel Zegler is in them. And while Disney might be making money now, the more they rely on theme parks and merchandise to make up for their movie losses, the more that they alienate the core audience. And who's the core audience? the parents. And that's a dangerous game to play right there, especially when you're a company that was built on telling great stories. That's something Walt used to do. But take Snow White, starring Rachel Zegler, for example. No matter how much backlash the movie gets, no matter how many people they say they're going to boycott it because of Rachel Zegler, Disney knows they'll still make a profit. Why? Because the money is going to come from all the Snow White merchandise, okay? The rides, the experiences. And they've even turned their movies basically into commercials for everything else that they're selling. But as someone who loves movies, I don't care about that. I don't care. I only care about good storytelling, and Disney used to be great at that, with or without Rachel Zegler, or even theme parks. But now not so much. And it's also a bit frustrating, but not surprising, because Disney's profits keep growing. The quality of the movies, especially those starring Rachel Zegler, keep dropping. And as for the movies get worse, the world becomes more divided. Now we're now seeing that Disney's actually losing profits and stuff, and fewer movies have the power to bring us all together anymore. Okay, and quite frankly, this movie is not going to bring people to the park. Okay, because you got Rachel Zegler on the forefront. If people don't care about the Rachel Zegler version of Snow White and stuff, especially with Rachel Zegler and her comments, they're not going to show up at the parks. Okay, this is basically going to be a repeat of the whole Black Little Mermaid thing, and so with Black Ariel and everything. And quite frankly, this is basically going to be just like that. So let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Also, be sure to include any additional thoughts when I have this particular topic. If you enjoyed what I shared in this video, go ahead and smash the like button, share far wide across social media. And if you haven't done so already and you enjoyed all the content that I put out there, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification, so that way you're notified of future uploads and updates. Till then, peace.